Hi everybody, it's Robbie from Southern California, and this is part 2. This is now my main garden right off the house that we're entering now. And now things are starting to change. May not be exactly what I said I was going to do, let's say a month ago, but you know what? Things change, and then you get different ideas and what may work better and easier as well. That's a broccoli down there. It's covered right now to give it a good chance. And then later I might put tulle around it because I don't want the rabbits to get it. Here I'm got to really work and decide how I'm going to do this. This is the old Dinosaur Kale. This is the one that's probably going on 5 years old. I'll have to look it up, but look at that. It's got some big leaves coming. I've trimmed it back and I'll probably do some more trimming. It's so damaged, but it's still hanging in there. So as long as it's hanging in there, it's one of my original. I'm going to leave it. The birds sit on there. They chew on the leaves. And that's okay. You know what? That's okay. I love it. It's important to me to leave. This is that old container that Gary split in half. It's an old trash water barrel, whatever he had years ago. So this has got an open bottom because you can see this is the top, and then the bottom is somewhere else that's got holes on the bottom. And this is also's got Dinosaur Kale in it that has been growing for quite a few years. So I've topped that up with some more scraps from the yard. I threw leaves and some soil on top and some wood chips, and it's coming back really, really pretty. You know what? Maybe I will step in here. This was something I tried. It's kind of like watering from the bottom. There was, I don't know. I'm pulling those out. They're rooted, and I'm going to get those in the ground. So it's in a container right now. See the holes on the bottom there? Pull those out and get those planted and get them in another container so they'll take off and get big. It just was an experiment I think Gary had set up. Lemon verbena, it is coming back now because we are in spring. I think you've got my shadow there. And so we've got plenty of lemon verbena and then more Dinosaur Kale. I can step out of here carefully. And this one, let's see, my solar fountain. Okay, this is why you don't put them up so high because you can't get to them. And it probably needs some cleaning. So I would say don't put your solar panels so high because they're just hard to get to. And when they're eye level, you can just wipe them down and keep it going. See, it does need cleaning because now it's starting to drip. So there might be, you know, bird droppings and stuff on there that needs to be taken off. And that's what happens when it's too high. You can't really see. Still working in my main garden, doing a lot of cleaning. It's not just cleaning, reorganizing, and I want to make sure that every place there's plants that I can walk through. That is very important to me. I'm going to need access like aisles, like a grocery store aisle, to go through every single area so I can service my plants. Because this year, I don't want to be blocked out where I lose a whole bunch of zucchini, I lose cucumbers because I couldn't get back there, didn't see them, and then you find a happy squirrel running around with a great big cucumber. I want to know it's there, and if I want it, I want to get it first. But this is all going to be straightened out here. I'll probably grow a lot of things along the wall here against the fence. That's my I got dragon fruit. So we'll probably have dragon fruit. Mine gets well watered. It's actually in a pot, and the roots, you can't really see back there, but the roots have left the pot, and we got a lot of dragon fruit off of that last year. So we'll see what happens this year. See what I did here? I never staked my purple sprouting broccoli, and that was grown from seed. I'm going to clean off the top and compost all the top there where it's all woody, and that's where there were flowers and seeds. I'm going to compost that, and I'm going to trim this plant up, but I'm not going to take it out at this point, even though it should be and started fresh. All those leaves, because this is the plant. Every place you see green all through here, that's that one plant. I mean, look how it's snaked all over the place. I am going to trim it up. Even back there where you see it's so green and greenish blue, the leaves, I'm going to trim it up, and I'm going to clean it up, but I'm not going to pull anything out because it gives me and Gary a lot of food, because the greens are wonderful to do, and I want to pickle them and do different things with them too. So I want to clean that plant up, but I want to get more growing. Walking onions all over, mint all over. We'll talk about mint, using mint in areas that you want to deter other animals, because I don't have anything that eats mint. So you can put mint around maybe some of your smaller plants. And when the, let's say, critters come by and they smell the mint, it's like, oh, there's nothing here, and they'll leave. And that does work. They don't touch a lot of plants when there's mint. It's not perfect, but it can work. So that's what's going on here. And then I've got some geraniums here. Okay, let's swing around here because this has been the big change. Here I had those upside down planters all the way across, and then by the door there we had all these tubs, these totes. I couldn't get to them. I had to climb behind the table, behind the chairs to get to these 3 totes. And the other day Gary and I walked through and I looked at them. They were sitting over there and I said, gee, I really should move the totes and rearrange this wall. Within minutes, he pulled everything out, and I said, wait a minute, Gary, I said, I'm not sure what I want. And he goes, doesn't matter. It sounds like a good idea. I hadn't thought about it. He pulled everything out, and we rearranged the wall, and all I lost here was 1 upside down planter. There were 4. Now there's 3. We moved the other one, and we put these here, and now I can service them, I can clean them, I can remove all the old leaves and use that for compost, and I can get access to them where I couldn't before. I had to climb over everything. So this has been perfect. Things I was going to pull out. I was going to pull out this great big dinosaur kale here. You know what? I think it looks really neat. And again, you never throw away leaves. I don't have anything in here yet. Please don't go running around looking for these. These are really a waste. There's so many ways you can make a better one. I bought these at Walmart. I believe they had them for $5 on clearance. Nobody wanted them, and my daughter called me, and they were $2.50. They had them on half price that day. We bought them all. But as far as going out and buying them, I've seen them online for over $100. I know they sold in the store at that time at one of the big box stores, and they had them for $66 when I walked in. They're not worth it. Look how small they are. They're just too small, and you don't need them that small for that price. And that's why I put pots and different things, because there's not enough soil really in there for anything. The plant gets root bound. It's so small, especially if you're trying to plant multiple plants. You could do much better with a tote. Even a smaller tote, you don't have to have something that big. But this isn't worth it. A chair, you can get a junk chair, look around your house, ask your neighbor, put a tote on top, and you have far more, the best garden than you'll have than buying one of these. That's just my opinion, and my opinion is really strong on it. But it's here, I've got it, so I will be using them. And this one I haven't even planted up yet, not sure what I'm going to put in it. I could even use it for seed starts, just sprinkling in some lettuce seeds and then moving them later. But here, walking onion, some purple kale, and then this is garlic chive. I love garlic chive. It's got a little bit of the black fly on it, this little insect that comes. And what's interesting is they don't seem to even damage the plant. They come because it's damp, and now that the weather's starting to warm up, I've noticed they just on their own, they disappear. Then I've got some, this is actually flat leaf parsley growing, and it's probably coming off of this one that was here because it was next to it, and that's a flat leaf parsley. It may be a hybrid, because it did come up from seed, and Gary and I were trying to figure it out because it kind of tastes like celery and it kind of tastes like parsley. So it might be a hybrid, some of these, and that's okay. It still tastes good. This is mushroom plant. This one's a little yellow, not sure why, but it is an old plant, and these are new cuttings I did. So the new cuttings are doing better than the old plant. Who knows? I'll do some more cuttings and we'll see. I'm not going to worry about stuff like that. It's more of an herb that you toss in the stir fry and different things. Anyways, stepping back here, I am excited with this. It looks really neat. I'll have more, nice places to sit in the garden. Working in the garden, I can start in those cups, some cuttings right in those coffee cups there. I can sit here, have my coffee, and what I really like is I can sit here and watch the birds, because this is the area, one of the areas I should say, that I feed the birds. So I think that's really, really nice. I'm going to go through my mint. This is orange mint down here. This container is orange mint, and that one over there is orange mint. I use orange mint if I'm making like fried eggs or an omelet, stir fry. I don't use any of the chocolate or any of the, I don't use any of that because it's like, I don't know, for me, I don't want to smell chocolate and mint in my food, but the orange mint has an essence of orange, and plus it's got nutrients in it. So I use the orange mint for that, but I don't need a ton of orange mint. We do use the chocolate mint. You can see usually it has a darker edge to the leaf. So does peppermint. Chocolate seems to be a little darker. We use a lot of chocolate mint right now and a lot of peppermint because I make a lot of mint tea. Especially we're drinking right now we were drinking bottle. We're drinking more water that's from the tap, and I boil it, I put it through a Brita, and it tastes better with just adding in some mint tea that I make. So we're using a lot of that. So I do want to get a lot of chocolate and peppermint going, even though we'll get over to that soon. That is all spearmint growing wild all over, and Gary likes that with lemon verbena and some stevia. It gives it a really good taste, so that is good too. Here I made the planter. This is very simple. There's a video on that. You can just get containers. Those were BPA free, so there's no number on them. Usually the toxic plastic containers, you can smell them. It's got a very odd smell to it, and that's the number 3. They're not always labeled, but you will definitely smell it. I can smell it, and I just don't use those to grow in. I don't know what they use. They can make them out of tires and plastics that maybe were holding oil in them, car oil or something. It's just, you never use the number 3. If you go to Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, Walmart, Costco, Aldi's, any of those that are selling totes, generally those totes are usually a 2 or a 5, and that is safe to grow in. They don't use the toxic plastic. So here again, see, this is the purple sprouting broccoli, and it's laying across there, and it really rooted really good. I did a lot of cuttings in the front yard, you saw. So I'm probably gonna do some cuttings off of that. Get some of this off the ground. I'm not gonna necessarily trim that out, but I'm gonna lift it off the ground so the rabbits don't get it, so I have the greens for Gary and I to eat, and that's the same plant there. See, the thing is massive, and that's why I don't wanna take it out, because I don't know if I grow seeds if it's gonna get that massive that quick. So I'm going to just hold off and work through what's not working, get rid of, and what is working, I'm going to keep and work with it. This is my solar fountain. Look at that. I love that. And we will get into that soon. Any of you that are in the solar fountains, I made that. And I was ready to get the video all together, and then you know what happened? It kind of didn't get it together yet. That is gorgeous. I made that from scratch, and we will get into it because it's so fun. So we'll come back to that hopefully very soon. And then I do believe there's a video on that that is just 4 stakes in another container. Very similar to those upside down planters. And for that, I didn't even put any walking onions in there. I stuck it in the pot, and I'm just growing some flowers in there right now. And that's what's going on there. Haven't planted in here yet. This whole area needs to be completely changed. I want to straighten out that fountain. The hummingbirds have been just going crazy with this. This is nothing but an old kid's globe that I split. It would open and close like it's like a little purse container type thing to store things in. Split it in half, and look how wonderful it is. I actually have a video of that I have not put up yet, so I've got to get that together. Ideas and thoughts on how to make your own solar fountains. And see, when you've got the panels, see how they get dirty on top? Well, you should be able to get your hand and wipe it off. And that's what's important. So you want them, you can even situate them where they're more out of the way. I didn't bother right now because I'm working here, but you can put them more out of the way. But when you've got them that far up, that one needs to be cleaned off, and that's why that fountain in the bucket is running really slow. So putting it that high may look cute and nice, but it's hard to service your panels, and they're very small panels, so even the smallest thing on there could slow the water down. So I like it when I can get to it. See, all these pots are still empty. I'm still working here. Oh, let's step back for a minute. I'm working all through here. Kitty's garden is doing good. This all that looks like a mess, this is all lettuce seed now. It's all, a lot of it's gone to seed. This is different kale that's gone to seed. And of course she still has some, an avocado tree. I don't even remember an avocado pit in there. Anyways, it's an avocado tree, and we got Swiss chard growing, and we've got celery in there, probably lettuce and different things. And then down there is a cutting from a tree collard. So a lot of that can be moved, and I can redo that when I get to that. And yes, she does eat out of it. She likes her collard. She loves collard. Isn't that funny? Not real big on kale, but loves collard. She has found out she likes green beans right off the plant. They're sweet when they're real green. This too has to be all trimmed back. This is a sprouting broccoli. And I'm not sure if this is going to make it because there's really very few leaves on it. So I've got to get really harsh and really trim that thing back. And then the same thing, you know, it should take off. If it doesn't, it's coming out. And I did take out one of the tall purple, I think it's a Dazzling blue kale here, but I left that one, and that one's gonna stay. The other one was dying back, so that was removed. And then this has got a lot of color. A lot of this color came up from seed. But all those yellow leaves that you see, they are valuable to me. That's gold. They look gold, they are gold. They're my soil. And we'll talk a lot about that, and I have talked about it in past videos. You make your own soil. And then again, this is all spearmint growing. Look at the size of the leaves on that. You get so much water here that it's just growing massively. I am going to clear and make sure I can get back to any part of my garden. Look at all the walking onions down here. Isn't that amazing? This is all walking onions here. I want to make sure every bit, every square inch of my garden is serviceable, that I can get to it when I need to. No more of letting it turn into a jungle, even though I do like it like that, where I can't get to it. It can look like a jungle, but I need to be able to get to it. Pepinos are starting again. Look at all the beautiful flowers. And yes, the pepinos are starting. I haven't done cuttings off of this one yet. Gary did. Oh, here's another one. You can eat pepinos as, like in this stage, the way it is right now. You can eat it right now, and you could use it in a stir fry. You can use it in a salad. It kind of has, I don't even know. I'm going to have to sit down and eat one and go over it little by little what it tastes like, almost like a cucumber in a way, melon type. But when you let it get bigger and it starts to turn yellow, it's sweet. Then it becomes a sweet fruit. So it's whatever way you want to use it. Oh, we need to add water to that. I haven't even serviced my water fountains this morning. I wanted to get this done first, so I need to add water to that one. And then see, even here, this is what I was saying. This fountain normally runs and it's trying. It's just barely burping. But being so high up, I can't get to that. So there's going to be a lot of changes in my own garden. And you know what? You'll learn that too. Now that you'll be working more, whether your garden's a little patio, whether it's a great big garden, you're going to figure out there's things that you like and want to do, and you'll change things. And that's the whole idea. We all live and learn, because we may change it, think that's the best, and the next minute come up with something else. And that's perfectly fine. Tomatoes, volunteers, my shadow. Volunteers coming up. I've already got tomatoes all over it, which is great, but this still has to be cleaned up. I did get rid of anything that wasn't doing really good, left the tomato and it's doing good. And then down there, sweet potato, I think that's going. Gary grows a lot of sweet potato. I want to grow other things. I need to plant something in here. Here's my lemon balm, and I want to get more, lemon balm growing, because that's actually good to add in to tea as well. And then onions. All this hasn't been done. I haven't worked over here at all. I was just starting. My beans are growing though. We've been using lots and lots of beans off of this one plant. Look at this. This is what Kitty loves. We've been pulling beans constantly off of this plant. And there's a little, look at the teeny beans. So we've been getting beans out of this. Can you imagine? This is one plant. I need to get a lot of green beans going. So that's been something I want to do this year. And that's all chocolate mint with the little strawberry mint on the very end. I don't like strawberry mint in anything, but I have it, I'll leave it. But the whole tub in there, this whole tote, is chocolate. And I can put a container on top, and I can grow zucchini or cucumber like I did last year. That's why that basket is still there. I'll see. I'm not sure, because like I said, I haven't done anything here. I'm kind of working my way slowly through the garden and trying to figure out what I want to do. And I'm in no hurry, because we have plenty of food, but I want to get it right. And now that our weather for the past few days have been 50 degrees, that's really good. And that's when I can get more squash growing. I want to compost more in here. This gets a lot of sun and gets some different squash. I might do delicatas. I've been going through my old seeds. I've got delicatas. I got kombucha, I think it's called. We've got some blue pumpkins. Gary wants to grow more pumpkins because they store so well. I don't know what's going to be in the winter, so we may want to store them. But you know what? Zucchini stores good too if we let it get big. So, but I'm not sure. I'm going to get a lot of different things. Going. Let's see. This is Dazzling Blue Kale. Now, when you keep it short and you don't let it get into a big tree like that, you get massive big leaves that are purplish blue. So I'm going to do cuttings and keep a lot of them short, and I may put some of those on my wall, my front yard. I'm going to see, because see, this is a seedling that came up. See how beautiful the leaves are? They are just gorgeous. So that's what you'll get when you keep it short and take care of it and don't let it go to seed. I actually took the seed head off. See, there was a top coming up with seed, and I did not want it to flower, because the moment it flowers, the leaves get small. That's why the leaves are so big on that, because I'm not letting it go to seed. And I probably will go through the tops when I get over here and clip those too. Might leave a couple for the birds, but otherwise I'm going to start clipping them. I don't have to worry too much for the birds right now, because if you look at the hillside, it's covered in mustard and a lot of wildflowers until they do weed abatement. And so the birds have all those seeds that they'll get to. So this isn't that important for the birds yet. So we'll see what happens as I get here. Got my little eggplant, but I've got a lot of seed off of this eggplant, so I'm going to get a lot of that planted. I'm not a big eggplant eater, but I do like it even oven baked, either oven baked fried or fried, and Gary loves it. I can't eat eggplant straight. There's something about it that it gets to me. So as long as I salt it, let it sit for about 30 minutes with salt, and then draws out whatever's in there that doesn't agree with me, then I rinse it and I cook it, and it's fine. It's so odd, but it does taste good, so I'll see what happens. But I do want to get some more eggplant growing. This is my tree color. There's actually 1, 2, 3 of them there. There's one there, which is massive, and I think everybody should grow tree colored. I'll get back to that in a minute. There's another one in the back. There's one there, and then this is other kale growing, dazzling blue kale all over. And there's another one there. I'm going to do a lot of cuttings off of that. We have purple tree color we purchased, and we're just starting to grow it. But I already know for 100% fact that the regular tree color does good in my yard. So I'm not going to ignore the green tree colored. I'm going to actually build my tree coloreds up, because I know they do good. And once I know the purple does good, if it does, then I can build that up. So I don't want to waste my time putting all my effort into, let's say, purple tree colored, and then finding out it's just not as happy here as, let's say, this is. So you want to concentrate with things that come up in your yard and that work really, really good in your yard. And that's where my mind is. What is growing really good? You know, we know certain mints do better than others. Well, we know, this mint, the spearmint, does too good. But I'm going to clear all this out. I'm going to put stepping stones. So I'm going to make sure that if it grows over the stepping stone, it's going to be taken out. But you want to grow things that grow really, really good. Like my daughter, she was all excited. She had cilantro come up in her yard just now. She sends me a picture. She said, look at this. The seeds dropped, and she's got a cilantro like 2.5, 3 feet tall. It's got a massive trunk on it. What's going on? I said, well, the seeds dropped, and that particular seed loves your yard, loves your area, and that's why it's better than any of the other plants you ever grew. Now you work with that plant, because that plant works best in her yard. And that's what I'm doing here. Let's keep on walking. So I need to wash that out. Here, this is the way I make my portable, look at that. Different things coming up from the seeds that got in there from things. This is my portable, which is really stuck in there. Let's see what's underneath. Oh, look at those grubs. Those are those green fruit beetles, and it's full of worms. They're feeding on all the leaves I've thrown in there. Look at that. You see that? These grubs actually are good doing their job in here, and then when they come out, they're not so good. So, because then they go after fruit trees and stuff, but we have found some secrets out on them. They actually like things better than fruit trees if you've got it, so it works out really good. They like the pollen off of celery. They'll prefer the pollen from celery off of, instead of a fig. Anyways, this is movable. So if I wanted to move this bucket and continue to compost in there, all I would have to do is no turning, dump, and move it next to any plant in my yard that's in the ground, because these tree collards are in the ground, and it would feed the tree collards. It would feed a tree. It would feed a vegetable plant. So I'm going to move that one out somewhere else. set this up because it's so full of earthworms and everything. Add some more leaves from my collards plants and stuff in here. Top it with maybe some potting soil, native soil, or whatever, I don't know, and get some squash growing. Let's see, what else is here? This is that old color plant. I picked up, a little thing at the 99-cent store, 4 little plants, and they're still growing. I've got this one that's snaked all over the yard. This is all one plant. Everything you see around here, see the bottom? That's one plant. I'm going to leave it because I'm not going to waste too much of my time trying to plant a lot of stuff here, because once that moringa tree flowers, it really shades this part of the yard. So I'm going to leave it because obviously the collar does really, really well. And I'll probably redo this one. This has got some more purple sprouting broccoli. Get that going, and maybe some walking onions or something, or garlic chives in the containers here. I'll see. It needs a little straightening, but since I let this thing turn into a massive tree, there's not too much I can do with it, so I'll see what I do when I get to it. But this has been really good. And then the other collard, you can't see it, it's kind of buried. It's behind the other tree collard. See, I can walk over here for a minute. It's back there. Yeah, see the collard all back there? That's another one of the original collards that's probably about 3-4 years old now. Listen to the birds. You probably hear the fountains instead. Oh, they're so loud because they're all eating. They're all eating on the feeders now. We put seed out and they come in, and they don't mind me here. They know who I am. They see me coming out and feeding them. They'll just come right out. Gary said they're tamer in your yard than they are in his garden. Yeah, because they know me. I can sit out there and they'll just come almost up to me. And then here, of course, I'm composting in here, which is going to feed the papayas. And this is another container that Gary cut, but see, it's the bottom. See, the edge is smooth, which means this just has holes. And this one just has holes, but it's feeding, that container is probably feeding the collard, see? That's why the collard is so massive, because it's feeding the collard plant. And it's also feeding the papayas. They had a hard time with the winter, but they're coming back. Look at all the flowers and new fruit on that one. And the big plant, the one that, here we were almost going to take out that one. This one's having a hard time, but we'll see, because even if we top it, it'll send out shoots and grow papaya. This plant here that came up in the compost container has long left the roots. The roots have left. It's gone into the ground. And this one is now feeding off of that. So there's multiple things in the garden feeding off of this compost. See, it's just basically, it's not even too much kitchen scraps. It's mainly leaves from the garden, but it leaches into the soil. And you can imagine, I can't lift this, how much earthworms and microbes and everything are inside and underneath. So that's why that collard back there this one is so massive. And that is why the papaya is so massive. And it could be even feeding the moringa that has also, that one is in half a trash can, so there's no bottom on that. So that is feeding a lot of these big plants here. But it's got a whole bunch of trees, and we're going to leave them. They came up, they're growing, I'm going to leave them. And we've been getting lots of papayas. Never thought we'd get papayas like that. And then back here all has to be cleaned up. And where the tomatoes that made it through the year, because they're tomatoes I like, I'm going to clean them up and see if they'll make it. I've got a lot of baby walking onions in the tubs there. I just stuck them there when I found them in the garden. And then over here, same thing, going to clean this all up. This is another moringa tree that we'll see what happens with this, but I staked up my tomato that Gary kept alive. Look at this, look. Gary kept this alive in his room inside, and so I dragged it out the other day. We put it out here, and we'll see what happens. And then here too, I don't have anything in this yet, this tote. I'm going to plant something in here, and look how big these leaves are. Look at this beautiful Swiss Chard. I've been eating that, just wonderful. And real quick, we'll step in here, even though this room, I'm going to say, is on its way out. We got a late start, and again, our mind has been with other things, so we're taking things out. It did keep the peppers going, so I did have peppers the whole time, all winter. There's a little thyme plant rooted in here. It's very dark in here. This moringa is not doing good, but it's coming out. There's more moringas. He's got trees he's growing. Here's another stevia. This is going out. More ginger. The last of my ginger is going out. That's basically it. Here's a little moringa coming up here. I'm going to find a new home for that. This is coming out. the squash grew all year. It's not going to do anything. And then I've got Malabar spinach. All this is coming out. And then let's see what's over here. Another stevia that's coming through. I might just trim the top off and let it start growing. Add some fresh soil in here. Maybe I can't take that out because they're growing in both pots. Oh, they were in the pot. Redo that. And that's it. So we had plans, big plans, but you know, things change. And that's okay, because what's going to happen now in here is this will be something, we'll see how the year goes. We'll probably grow things in the winter in here. We're already in spring. Remember, Gary just finished this a month or two ago. He has been slowly working on it. There's still things he wants to do in here. We need to get a fan in here because you need to circulate air. Very simple. Just put a fan in the window and just have it maybe blowing out or in, just so you want to move the air around. It'll be better for the plants. But that's it. So we'll come back and do more on this later in the winter as the weather cools. But I would say for now we're done in here, because now we want to concentrate with outside. And that's it. So now we've done my whole yard, my garden, and I think now what we should, look at the hummingbirds are feeding on the geranium. Let's go and see what's going on in the garden outside the gates.